This is Jamaica Plain, a ruined town located on the southern edge of the Commonwealth. A group of settlers are currently taking refuge inside these ruined buildings. Their previous settlement, Braintree Highlands, located to the south of the Commonwealth, was destroyed by a horde of super mutants. However, these super mutants were acting strange to the usual groups found inside the Commonwealth. They were in a large force and seemed to have attacked Braintree Highlands strategically, as no other settlements in the area have reported any sightings of them for weeks. The Minutemen are aware of this super mutant attack and of the refugees inside Jamaica Plain, and have not forgotten their duty to protect the citizens of the Commonwealth. Jamaica Plain has the potential to be a strategic location for the Minutemen. With it being located close to Diamond City, trade networks could be established, boosting the economy of the town. Also, with the threat of the super mutants on the southern Commonwealth border, Jamaica Plain could act as a first line of defense against anything entering from that region. Stories have been spreading throughout the wasteland that the Institute has been defeated and that the Minutemen are rebuilding civilization. However, these stories seem to leave out crucial information. There are still threats which face the Commonwealth. The Gunners, previously hired by the Institute, have not been defeated. Minutemen scouts have reported sightings of gunners retreating out of the Commonwealth. However, other gunner groups have been sighted still inside the region. They are still enemies of the Commonwealth. The Brotherhood of Steel, emboldened by the defeat of the Institute, are attempting to gain an iron grip over the Commonwealth. They have requested that the Minutemen hand in all of their power armor and high-tech weaponry, which would leave the Minutemen with only scrapped-together pipe weapons to defend the Commonwealth. The Minutemen refused these authoritarian actions, explaining to the Brotherhood that the Commonwealth is still in danger, raiders still looking to make easy scores, creatures roaming the wasteland, and not to mention the elusive super mutant horde amassing to the south of the Commonwealth. However, the Minutemen's attempts at negotiations with the Brotherhood have been all but ignored. The Brotherhood have not changed their stance. Their lust for technology far outweighs their care for the Commonwealth's survival. Commonwealth citizens celebrate peace after the Institute's defeat. Unbeknownst to them, it may be short-lived, as a civil war simmers underneath the cheers of their victory. Before the Minutemen can begin rebuilding Jamaica Plain into a functioning town, we first need to build what the refugees would have built here when they first arrived. The refugees were driven from their settlement and have travelled far to get here, so I imagine that they won't have time for comfort. So with this build, we'll focus purely on survival needs. Considering that this church is one of the buildings located further south in the settlement, I want to build their refugee camp inside here. The refugees would have utilised pack Brahmins for their journey into the Commonwealth. So let's make sure that they have a pen for these Brahmins. I utilise this playground as a pen, utilising the UFO piece as a shelter. I'm sure the Brahmin can squeeze in. Then, of course, they needed somewhere to store the supplies from the pack Brahmins. So we built a shelter and also an outdoor community area where the refugees could cook their meals. With the initial survivor area complete, I want to move on to building the refugees' sleeping quarters inside the church. First, I patched up the windows and then gave the area a community sleeping area vibe, with beds strewn around the place and tarps protecting their beds from any Commonwealth storms. However, this church also has a dark story attached to it. This pre-war ghoul has taken advantage of some of these vulnerable refugees and brainwashed them into his cult. You see, he's a ghoul and has always dreamed of looking like a regular human again. He entered the Commonwealth and came across the Cabot family. After seeing that they mysteriously never aged, he worshipped their mysterious power, having faith that they may one day have the cure for his ghoulish looks. However, not all of the refugees are on board. Some view the religion as a scam, which is why the ghoul has a bodyguard to protect him against any of the suspicious refugees. Upstairs in the church is where the ghoul and his muscles sleep. Their cult has had some success, as they have some mysterious serum donated by the Cabots. The other half of the refugees who don't follow the ghoul's cult instead instead follow the mayor, who led their previous settlement at Braintree Highlands. I'm thinking that the mayor can live in this house next to the church. This house overlooks the South Road, and considering that all of these refugees are extremely on edge after seeing their homes get destroyed by super mutants, I wanted the first floor to represent a checkpoint, protecting the group from the super mutant invaders. They've set up spotlights and turrets overlooking where the super mutants may follow. Above the checkpoint is where the mayor's hired mercenary sleeps. He overlooks their position from this makeshift watchtower that they converted from the church's bell tower. One man may not be enough to protect them, but his presence is enough for the refugees to feel a small amount of safety. The mercenary is keeping his identity a secret, as he doesn't want the Minutemen to discover that he was once affiliated with the Gunners. Back inside the mayor's house, we have, well, the mayor's room. He sees through the Ghouls cult, but doesn't want to divide the group any further, as he knows that they all need each other now more than ever. The final room in this building is the attic, which is where one of the more techie refugees does some maintenance on his pack protectron, who helped carry supplies similar to the Pack Brahmins. With all of that built, we've finished the initial refugee survival camp. At this point, the Minutemen are moving supplies into Jamaica Plain, ready to rebuild the town. The first step the Minutemen need to take in order to secure Jamaica Plains is a forward operating base. There's this building in the center of town, which has some police protectrons, which could be utilized as security guards for the settlement. So it makes sense that the Minutemen would build their base here. I decided to turn this building not only into an outpost, but also a recruitment center for the Minutemen. Right as you enter, there's a reception desk where settlers can sign up to join the Minutemen. In the next room, we have a workshop where the Minutemen have some weapons and tools stored ready for the rebuild. Then upstairs, we have a communication room where the Jamaica Plain outpost can communicate with other Minutemen settlements. They can call for backup in case of an attack or send out logistic requests to provision caravans. Then of course, the Minutemen needed a barracks for the Minutemen troops to sleep. There's a storage loft above their beds. I can't take credit for this idea, however, as it came from someone in Twitch chat. It's a simple barracks, but I think the loft helped add some more visual interest to the build. Now that the Minutemen have their outpost set up at Jamaica Plain, they can begin expanding throughout the settlement. As the refugees are most likely running on a limited supply of food and water, the next step for the Minutemen is to build food and water production and distribution. To begin, we'll build a Minutemen-ran restaurant. Here we have Minute Meals. This restaurant doesn't just take action against the refugees' hunger, but it also acts as a fast food restaurant for the residents of Jamaica Plain. Customers of Minute Meals can take a seat in one of these booths and watch the cooks do their work through the open buffet. And I know many of you will be happy to know that I did indeed add a toilet. You know, in case there's any spicy meals being served.
16 times the detail.
The next step to rebuilding Jamaica Plain is to add some water production. This lake behind the town hall is the only place in the entire settlement with some water. So this is where we will build the water purifying operation. Considering that we just built the water purification area behind the town hall, it makes sense that we now begin work on the town hall. Alrighty, so we have the structure repaired, which took me way longer than it had any reason to. I decided to add extra supports on the structure, which did take a long time, but I think it came out looking great. But now we have the inside to decorate, and there's so many rooms. At this point, we've completed most of the town hall. We'll get to what's left to build in a second. We'll start out by showing what we have built so far. There's a reception desk right as you enter, and to the left leads into a meeting room where settlement leaders can meet to discuss trade and politics. This room is very reminiscent of the castle's meeting room. Next, we have the power generator tucked under the stairs, and above that, a lunchroom where some employees take their breaks. Then, if we go to the end of this hallway and go left, there is a room which is where a new branch of the Minutemen operates from. The organization is named the Minutemen Intelligence Agency, or the MIA, not to be confused with Missing in Action. The MIA are mostly for gathering information on the Commonwealth, whether that's information on our enemies or allies. In case we want to hold a prisoner here, like a gunner, then we have a small jail cell just for that. If we believe that they may have some valuable information that we can use, then we have an interrogation room. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought that the Minutemen are the good guys. Why do you have a torture room? Anyways, moving on. On the roof, there's a simple defensive position, which can overlook the water purifiers and some wind turbines on the other side of the roof. It made sense to me to have the roof as a strategic location for the Minutemen, considering what's being housed inside the town hall. But the town hall isn't complete. There's still one room that we haven't decorated. I wanted this room to be the mayor's room, but then I got to thinking about who the mayor should actually be, when I came up with a potentially pretty fun idea. The super mutant Strong. Now, on face value, this seems like a stupid idea. The refugees got driven out of their settlement by super mutants, and now they're in a town whose mayor is a super mutant? Well, yes, this is exactly why I wanted to choose Strong. Fallout utilizes dark humor to set its tone, so I think that having Strong as the mayor will help to feed into that dark humor. Here we have Strong's room complete. At first glance, it's very messy. But I mean, he's a super mutant, so that makes sense. He did get a Mr. Handy assigned to clean his room, but he's not able to do his job anymore. The only thing that's missing in Strong's room now is Strong himself. So let's go and save him from Trinity Tower. There she is, Trinity Tower. You guys ready for a speed run, by the way? We're just getting Strong. We're going on a side quest. Now you guys get to see my prowess as a FPS gamer. Actual gamer, by the way. The FBS gaming prowess. You guys aren't here for the builds. You guys are really here for when I whip out this 10 mil and start blasting. As long as I make it so he can't hit me. He's actually an idiot. You just have to make it so they can't shoot you and you can shoot them. Oh, Strong. I did die. I did die. Okay, Strong. This is where I'm going to sit behind Strong. Maybe we just go TGM. No, we won't do that. Please work. Please work. Protect me, Strong. This isn't going to work. Hang on, let me in here. Can I lay down? Can I go prone, please? Okay, we need to go jet instantly as soon as we get these guys. I'm out of jet. Don't shoot me. Is that all? I think that's all. We did it. Actually, I did it. I take full credit.
I suppose that Bob was justified.
Did you just say Bob? I could say Bob was justified. Is that what he just said? Lore accurate? Confirmed? Now with Strong watching over the settlement and looking very stylish while doing it, Jamaica Plain is beginning to have some assets that the Minutemen want to protect. It's high time that we create a perimeter defense around the town. I utilised some pre-existing walls around the church and then simply created a wall which just wraps around the outskirts of Jamaica Plain, making sure to leave a few areas open which I want to be entrances. This entrance here has an additional watchtower perched on top of this house, which has a strategic view over the main road. There's another entrance next to this diner, which we utilised the diner's roof being a defensive position, and then there's the final entrance on the southeast part of town. However, this entrance doesn't have any way of seeing over the walls, so So let's rectify that by building a watchtower up on this raised area. The castle's watchtowers, which house the Minutemen Rangers, have become a recognizable symbol of the Minutemen's previous HQ. As almost a tradition, the Minutemen will continue building these towers in honor of the castle. With that in mind, let's build one of these watchtowers on this entrance. Here we have the finished tower. Although it is the same design as the castle's watchtowers, I wanted to make it a little bit different by adding a connected building at the base of the tower, which is where a Minuteman medic can operate from. There's space for him to fix up any wounded Minuteman Rangers inside. Inside the tower is where the Minuteman Rangers or Scouts live. Minuteman Rangers don't usually operate within the confines of a settlement, like settlement guards. Instead, they act as scouts, venturing outside settlements, keeping an eye on their surrounding region, making sure that trade routes are kept safe. Jamaica Plain will rely on exports and imports for its economy, very similar to how Spectacle Island's economy operates. On Spectacle Island, we built the Commonwealth Postal Service, which is home to the new postal transport system of Minuteman settlements. However, for the postal service to operate, it needs operations in each settlement, including Jamaica Plain. This building here, which houses the settlement's workbench, is where I want to build the postal building for Jamaica Plain. Before I ended up with this design, I tried making it look like the postal building on Spectacle Island to give the postal buildings a consistent look, but unfortunately it looked horrible. I think it's because the green was next to the dark red brick pieces of the original structure. I instead opted for the barn pieces to match with the red bricks of the original building. Inside the post office, there's of course plenty of parcels throughout the building. Here is the settlement's postbox system. It does require a fee to have a postbox, so only working residents of the settlement would use this service. There's also this other building connected to the post office, which is now a new branch of the Public Occurrence newspaper, Piper's newspaper agency from Diamond City. It just made sense to have these two services close together. As Jamaica Plain will be a key trade partner to Diamond City, it also made sense that Piper would utilize these trade routes to grow her newspapers. Downstairs is where the printing of the newspaper happens, and upstairs is where the workers of the Public Occurrence live. An unmarked parcel was delivered to Jamaica Plain. Its contents were 3 tree enhancement serums, and a note reading, "A gift from a friend, V." The General of the Minutemen discovered the tree enhancement serums early in his quest for rebuilding the Commonwealth. He used that serum at Sanctuary Hills. The result was a luscious green tree, unlike any other in the Commonwealth. Some citizens of Jamaica Plain voiced their concern on using these serums on trees in the town, whilst other residents see it as a potential for tourist attraction. Ultimately, General Bob agreed that using these serums in the past didn't result in any misfortune. Therefore, using these serums throughout Jamaica Plain will be fine. Three enhanced trees acting as a beacon for wastelanders seeking their oasis. They symbolize the signs of progress that the Minutemen are rebuilding the Commonwealth to its former glory. Next to the Public Occurrence building sits a parking lot, which is in the original build area of the settlement. Considering we don't have a market area yet, and this parking lot has a nice open area, let's build an open marketplace here. But instead of making the stores the usual general store, clothes store, weapons store, etc., I instead want to create some more niche stores which specialize in other crafts. I'm quite happy with how the layout of the market turned out in the end. I especially like the Minuteman statue held up on this scrappy pedestal. This store, named RobRep, is owned by a robot who repairs, well, robots. Although the store's name refers to robot repairs, everyone just assumes that the robot's name is Rob. Next to RobRep is an electrical store, where settlers can get valuable electrical items for their homes, or similar to RobRep, get electrical items repaired. In the center of the market is a painter's shack. I accidentally misspelt Painter's Paradise on the sign, and instead of correcting the mistake, I instead decided that the painter is just unaware of his happy accident. Also in the market is a tannery, which I'm sure gives a wonderful smell to the market, considering that in these barrels the hides sit in Brahmin urine. Finally, a more pleasant smelling stall, the herbalist. The herbalist mixes up different concoctions, selling different healing teas and ointments. And that is the final store in the market that we have to show. To fill in these nearby roofs above the market with structures, I also built a greenhouse, which grows food for the Minute Mills store, and a house for sale on top of the public occurrence news agency. It's totally not empty because I'm trying to conserve FPS, and not just because it's for sale. Anyways, with Jamaica Plain attracting more and more tourists after the news of the Verdant trees, more businessmen are looking to capitalize on its newfound popularity. One businessman is looking at utilizing this diner on the outskirts of the settlement as a chicken race. Not only will wastelanders visit for the sights of Jamaica Plain's trees and the bustling market, but whilst they are here, they can spend their caps betting on the famous chicken races. They're escaping! Here we have the finished chicken race. I'm pretty happy with how this build turned out. Little quirky builds like this add so much life to settlements. Outside the diner is where the spectators can watch the chicken races with a bar that serves them beverages. This chicken race is called the Chicken Run, and next door to the Chicken Run, run by the same owner, is the Chicken Coop. It's a hotel where spectators of the Chicken Run, who may have got a little bit too drunk, can sleep it off within the safety of the settlement. However, this businessman hasn't stopped there, as any chickens that consistently lose the races are then sold at this butcher shop located next to the chicken coop. It might be cruel, but I guess that's the apocalypse for you. This area, now feeling like a proper commercial district, also has had a general store pop up near the chicken coop. With all of the drunk spectators, the owner of the general store keeps everything secured behind the counter, as he doesn't trust the rabble at the Chicken Run. He does also get some sleepless nights, being so close to the ruckus. Now it's time to move on to something a little bit different, a new branch of the Minutemen. Here houses the Minutemen Engineer Corps. With the Minutemen growing in resources due to their settlements, they have created an engineering corps tailored to restoring pre-war tech and creating new tech from scavenged components. For example, a pre-war APC now dons the Minutemen colours, and towed by the APC water delivery trailers, used to transport much needed water to settlements throughout the Commonwealth. A Protectron, also in Minutemen colours, able to do manual labour and protect against wasteland threats. This garage acts as a tinkerer's dream, where the engineer corps can really get creative. In the room beside that, there's a robot workshop and a power armor workshop. They basically get free reign to create what they believe will help benefit the cause of the Minutemen. Of course, these Minutemen engineers need their own barracks, which is located just across the street. There's nothing fancy going on inside, just some bedrooms and a mixed dining and kitchen area. The Minutemen value this corp and want them to feel proud of the work that they do, so they created a new flag to represent this new branch of the Minutemen. With that area completed, the settlement is really starting to come together, with only a few more buildings left to repair and decorate. We don't have a whole lot of residential buildings throughout the settlement, so I want to turn these two structures into just that. One of these houses has an interesting quirk. In the attic is a carpentry station. The settler who lives here operates a furniture restoration and creation business from his home. To further sell the story that he is a carpenter, I made sure to make all of the furniture in his home made out of wood. The house next door doesn't have any real quirks to it, just a regular old settler's home. Behind these two buildings is another house, which we repaired. I kept this dining room intact and created a shared living sleeping area, as the layout of the house didn't really give any room for anything else. With those three structures now operating operating as residential buildings, we are left with only one more to restore. I had some back and forth discussions with my Twitch chat on what to make this building, when, after some suggestions, I decided on a junk trade center. Instead of entering the structure from the first floor, you instead head up these stairs into the service room, where the exchanging of junk to caps happens. Then downstairs is where the owner, well, I guess you can say he stores his junk in here. However, this looks more like one of those hoarder episodes on TV. He seems that he doesn't just exchange the junk for creating functional things, but instead he uses the junk for creating, I guess, artwork. With the hoarder's exchange complete, there's no more buildings left in the settlement to restore. However, the Minutemen can let the refugees from the church move into these unenterable houses. I still need to move more settlers into town and add some final decorations to help the streets feel alive. With the streets fully decorated, the town feeling far more lived in, settlers working throughout the streets, and the town itself protected from wasteland threats, we can now call Jamaica Plain rebuilt.